always loved the idea of storytelling, turning moments into meaning, ideas into impact, but every time I sat down to write, my brain turned into a one-man improv show. No plot, no structure, just chaos. And sure, I've read all the storytelling frameworks, I know what a good story looks like, but making my own? Somehow that's the part that never clicked. Until I started sparring with someone new. Not to cheat the process, but to challenge it. I started using AI, not to write for me, but to make my messy drafts actually make sense. And little by little, it changed how I think. I still overthink. I still cringe at my first drafts, but now I finish things. I learn, I ship, and the best part, I'm finally telling better stories. Even this one. I've spent a lot of time studying storytelling and trying to improve my filmmaking to tell better stories, but I often get stuck in the pre-production stage simply because it takes a long time for me to turn an idea into a story framework and then write out a shot list and all the pieces around it to craft something visually in my head that I can then go and film. And if you're anything like me and just want to practice your filmmaking but feel like you end up with like unhinged stories and things that doesn't really make sense, and that's not how good it was in your head when you tried to come up with the idea in the first place, then this trick might just help you. So I've started using AI, ChatGPT specifically, but you could use any chat AI right now, I think. And what I've done is not to have it generate any video or photos or anything like that for me. I'm simply using it to take my concept idea and turn it into something of a pre-production video or script that I can then go and film almost immediately. So if we jump into my computer here, you will see that this is the prompt that I've used. And a prompt is basically just the way, or a fancy way of saying what I've written to communicate with the chatbot. So it's not really something fancy, but I've given it some structure just from my little experience with working with AIs so far. And I'm by no means an expert, but this is just the way that I've decided to go about it with the experience and knowledge that I have. This could be a lot better. It could also be a lot worse. That's not really the point of it. The point is getting faster to a result so we can start filming. So the first thing I'm telling it is, I want you to act as a filmmaking expert. Then I'm giving it context to what I'm doing. So I'm creating an intro sequence for a YouTube video about telling better stories using AI to help refine the story and make it structured. So these two first parts is basically just putting it in some context. I want you to be a filmmaking expert for me, and I'm creating an intro sequence for this video that you're watching right now. You just watched the sequence that we're about to make, so you're already seeing the result of all of this. Then I'm trying to give it some structure. I'm saying it has to follow a following framework that I've gotten from Kindra Hall's book that's called Stories That Stick. And I always like that. It's basically just before, change, after. But she puts it into normal, explosion, and new normal. So that's what I've told it here. I've forgotten to put after in. That doesn't really matter. Because it's an intro sequence, I don't want it to be that long. So I've said the story should be told in 30 to 60 seconds. And then I need 3 to 5 scenes for each of those 3 acts. And I want a variety of wide, medium, and close-ups. I'm on a time constraint, so I want it to be easy for myself. I'm basically just trying to tell it, make this simple. I don't want anything crazy. I just want a simple story that I can follow. Then I'm trying to give it a bit of context of where I am and what I'm using. So I'm saying it's taking place in my apartment. I have a kitchen, a living room, and a dining table area that I can use to film. And I'm filming on a Sony ZV-1 with a Sony 24-70 f2.8 lens. Why I'm telling this is just to try and put it into context. Like, I'm not filming outside. I'm not filming in a bedroom or bathroom or anywhere else. These are the places I have at my disposal. This is what I want to use. And what is the camera? That is not so important for the camera itself, I think. It could be for where I'm putting the camera, so maybe it would change things up then. But it's more for the focal length because I'm using a zoom lens. So if you're using an action camera on iPhone or whatever it might be, you can just tell it that, and then it will probably give you a slightly different result, but tailored to what you're shooting with as well. That's at least the idea for me here. Then I give it a little bit of structure of how I want it to create this script for me. So I'm telling it, first, write or craft an overall script and visual story for the intro sequence. This is just to make sure that it understands what we're trying to do here, because there's a lot of information. Then I'm saying script the voiceover, make it interesting, witty, and with variety and pace. Because that's some of the things that I struggle with to craft a good voiceover. So I'm trying to, from the story, get it to tell me that up front and then match the voiceover to the rest of it. So basically the voiceover is the overlaying story framework, and then the visuals should come after. That's at least the idea of how I've structured this. That's what I'm hoping it's going to do. And then I wanted to describe each scene, the purpose of it, the flow, and what's important for me to focus on. That's just to make sure that I get a structured idea of what it's trying to visually tell me to do, because that's also something that I can struggle with myself. If I had an idea in my head of how it should look, I can have that in my head. If I'm trying to tell it to someone else, that might be more difficult. So this is also teaching me how things can be described so I can tell it to others if I need it at some point. And then I want a shot list just to make it easy to cross things off, and I want it in a specific format. I've chosen this format: act, shot name, focal length, and perspective. That's just the things that's going to give me an idea of how to shoot different frames in the different acts. Then I've written my story concept, and that is just plain writing, just off the top of my head, but I've tried to put it into the framework already. So I've thought of what is the beginning, what is the change, and what is the after. That's kind of the only thing I thought about when I was writing this out. And I'm basically just telling it, I've always been interested in storytelling. I've struggled with pre-production. I've started using AI to do it, and it's changed how easy it is for me to get through the pre-production stage and get started with filming something. You can pause the video, read it out if you want yourself, but that's the essence of it. And then I've told it to, before you craft a story, ask me up to 5 follow-up questions to make sure that you craft it only with the things that I have available and the capacity that I can create it. Okay, let's take this whole prompt here, copy it, Command-C, go into ChatGPT, paste it in and see what happens. It will start by asking me the 5 questions because I've asked it to do that. So that's going to do it every time. So we're going to see here, it's asking me if I plan to appear on camera in all the scenes, or if I prefer a mix of like B-roll style shots, hand typing over the shoulder objects. I think that would be fine to have a mix of those. Do I have a tripod or a gimbal available, or is it all going to be static shots relying on a surface or tripod? It's going to be a tripod. Do you have any props of gear that you visually represent the transition? So laptop, notebook, phone, coffee mug, post-its, camera gear, any of that? How much time will you realistically have for filming this? And the tone check. What's the tone that you want for this? All right, so I have given it my answers. I've said I can appear in the frame, but I think it's a good idea to mix it up with a bit of B-roll as well. I have a tripod available. I'm filming by myself, so it'll be static. I have a laptop, phone, notebook, and coffee mug, but I don't have any post-its or whiteboard. I run this prompt a few times, and it's asked me to use a whiteboard or post-its multiple times, so I thought I would just get rid of that immediately. I want to spend around an hour filming it, and I want it to be humorous and insightful. It can be a bit quirky as well. So that's kind of the idea here. Okay, so it's saying I've tailored a plan for you, a cinematic but simple to execute intro. It uses 9 shots total, 3 per act, mix of wide, medium, and close-ups, and stays within your hour of filming window. The tone is witty with a wink, and all shots are static for ease. Perfect, that sounds exactly like what I needed. Then it has structured it a little bit differently than the other times I ran the prompt. That's okay, it's structured everything within the acts now. Normally it took it one step at a time, so it first gave me the whole voiceover, then the structure of the acts, and then the shot list, but hey, this is still fine. So it's saying theme, overthinking, paralysis by analysis, stuck in your own head. So the voiceover is, I've always loved the idea of storytelling, but whenever I sat down to write, my brain would turn into a one-man improv shot with 0 plot. And then it's giving me a wide, I'm a couch slouch, I'm slumped on the couch, laptop open, black screen, eyes staring into the void, sets the tone, shows frustration, dead space, okay, makes sense. Laptop typing plus delete, so I'm typing a few words, I'm pausing, I'm selecting everything, deleting again. It's a pretty good B-roll detail. And then a close-up, notebook scribbles, that's a mess. I'm trying to do arrows and all kind of things in a notebook, and it's just symbolizing chaos. I think that makes pretty good sense. Explosion, saying AI as a co-pilot, creative spark, things begin to click. Okay, so here's when the change happens. So the voiceover would be, then I tried something new, not to cheat the process, but to spar with it. I started using AI, not to write my stories, but to refine them, and something shifted. I think that's also pretty good. The wide, sitting at the dining table, I'm focused, sitting upright, engaged, laptop open, nodding slightly, as if I'm responding to the idea. You see the screen reflection in the glass, side angle, laptop screen reflection in the glass, face intent. Okay, not 100% sure what that means, but that could also just be pointing at the screen, I guess. And then close up, notebook, aha moment, page has now 3 clear bullets and a flow of a sketch. So that's the payoff of what I'm actually creating. So I have to be a little bit of creative here myself of what that would be, I guess. And then the last one, the new normal, co-creation, confidence, flow state activated. Now I still overthink, but I finish things. And I still draft clunky scripts, but now I get to learn from better ones. And that's the real story upgrade. Okay, also fine. Was a little bit clunky when I tried to read it, but okay. And we have a wide shot. That's a kitchen coffee celebration. I'm pouring some coffee, making a small fist bump. Then I'm uploading a video. So it's showing that my YouTube channel video is on the export bar. Probably do something like that. Just exporting the video, like a simple thing, would be fine. And then I look to the camera and smirk. So like still figuring it out, but I've got help. That's kind of the idea. Okay, and then it gave me the shot list here. So we have the first act, couch slot, 25mm wide, medium, close up. Then we have a wide, we have a medium and close, but both is 70mm. And then, yeah, that's pretty much what we asked for. So we can put that into kind of like a checklist format. And then tips for filming fast. Set up once per location, shoot all relevant shots for each act in one area before moving on. Voiceover first or record a temporary audio that helps match the pacing while I'm filming. And then use natural light plus the key light at opposite angles to create depth. And leave gaps between shots so you can edit within briefing room. And I actually I don't think I told it that I had a key light this time. I did not. So it's taking that from the context of the other times I ran this. It asked me about lighting the other times. It didn't this time. That's completely fine. So I hope this gives you an idea of what this looks like. Now you will, or you've already seen me create this exact sequence. So that was the intro. You can go back and watch it again if you want. But of course, this is not perfect, and there's still places where I have to think for myself. We could improve the prompt. We could ask it to refine details. But for me, that's not really the purpose here. Of course, if I want to grow into making bigger projects and make it even more complicated, I can. But the purpose for me with this is to have a simple concept idea that I want to turn into a video. And instead of spending a lot of time doing that, I'm putting it into this prompt, this framework, and getting help from the AI to actually make something. And I can always change things up on the go. I can edit it myself if I want to, but I have something now that I could essentially start filming and recording now, maybe with a little bit of refinement. And that's the exact purpose of this video and what I wanted to share with you. So I'm very happy with what this gives me. So I hope that gave you a little bit of help or inspiration, maybe to go and use this yourself. Let me know in the comments if you do, if you found this helpful. And in the comments, you'll also be able to find the prompt that I've used for this video. I've left it down there. If you want to learn more about filmmaking and how you can film easy sequences at home by yourself, so more on the filming and making things yourself side of things, you can join my mundane filmmaking course. It's linked in the description below. And other than that, I just want to say thank you for watching. Hope it was helpful. Hope you learned something. And other than that, I'll just catch you in the next one. And until then, take care.